So it's finished Manchester City 1, Chelsea 0, and that is one of the most uninspiring, unadventurous and feeble performances I can remember seeing. Certainly one of the worst under Antonio Conte. I love Antonio Conte. I'll forever be grateful for what he did for us last season, but it's becoming very, very difficult to defend him now. The scoreline itself isn't humiliating. A lot of people are going to come and play this Manchester City team. They're impeccable, they're wonderful, and they're glorious to watch, and they're not going to go home with anything. But, like I say, the scoreline isn't embarrassing, but the performance certainly was. To come out and play them now, we've played them twice this season, we've lost 1-0 both times, but we haven't attempted to try and win the game at either time. And it's criminal, really, because we're a club that should be pushing them to their maximum. I know they're brilliant, and I know they deserve an awful lot of respect, and you have to go into these games and try and counter and come up with a way to play around how good they are, because if you try and match them at their own game, you're going to come unstuck. But we didn't do that, and I can't quite understand what we tried to do. We had nothing in the first half. It was one of the most frustrating first halves I've ever seen, but we had absolutely nothing to offer. We couldn't get the ball off them. I mean, I played football this morning, and it wasn't dissimilar to the sort of farce that happened to me. That shouldn't be happening at Premier League level. We're the champions. They're the team at the top of the league. It shouldn't be that sort of disparity. They were so much better than us, and I can't understand how it's got to that stage. We just didn't have an answer to anything that they could do, and it doesn't sound like, this is going to sound like an exaggeration, but I'm actually being completely honest here. We couldn't get out of our half for 25 minutes. I mean, the fact that is an honest and factual statement and not an exaggeration is really, really worrying. The other thing that I just can't get my head around is this false nine thing that we're trying, this Eden Hazard playing up front. It doesn't really work. I mean, there's been glimpses, we've seen occasions where it's shone, but overall, it isn't a system that I have any time for, because not only do you lose a natural centre-forward, you lose the threat of a natural centre-forward, you also lose the brilliance of Hazard on the left-hand side. Hazard is so dangerous there, he's so comfortable there, he's so influential there, he can completely dominate the tempo of the game, and the opposition team are so worried about him out there because they don't know where he's going to be all the time. To put him in a position where he's leading the line, it's their dream. It's exactly what a centre-half wants. A centre-half is over the moon if Eden Hazard is playing with his back to goal in front of them. They can keep their eye on him, they can shepherd him away, they can use their force and superior strength over him, and the ball's in the air for 90% of the time above his head. He's just cutting such a forlorn figure, and I feel sorry for him because it just doesn't make sense. On top of that, the reason it doesn't make sense is because we've got two strikers with a combined worth of 75, 80 million quid sitting on the bench. I don't quite know what has to happen for us to give one of them a game. I don't really care who. I'm not Morata's biggest fan, and I quite like the look of Giroud, but he wasn't getting the Arsenal side, so I don't care who. It just doesn't make any sense to me how we can be 1-0 down, away from home, with 44 minutes to play. The whole game can be saved, and we didn't put a striker on. I think Morata must have had, 2 minutes? It just makes absolutely no sense to me, and it was as if we were settling for a 1-0 win, which is an incredibly worrying state of affairs. But that typifies what's happened this season, and certainly since the turn of the year. I think we've won about 3 or 4 games this calendar year. Think back now to all of the disastrous results that we've had. You think about Norwich, you think about Arsenal dumping us out of the cup, you think about what happened with Bournemouth, what happened against Watford away. Bournemouth was at home. What happened last week against Manchester United? We have lost so many games this season, and I genuinely think we've won 3 games. I'm doing this all off the top of my head, but for me it's 3, isn't it? Brighton, Hull. I've got 3 games. So incredibly depressing. Where we go from here, I don't know. We've got Palace to look forward to. We had a torrid time of it down there. I made myself look a fool on BT Sport that day. I won't be making that mistake twice. Anything could happen this time. And then obviously we're going to Barcelona. So things need to change, and they need to change really quickly. I'll be really interested to hear what Antonio Conte has to say in his post-match press conference. But yeah, massively depressing. It's a horrible way to end a weekend. But yeah, please do me a favour, comment below, let me know what you think about this one and where we go from here. Do you want to see Conte sacked? Do you think that's the right answer? Do you think that's the only answer? The timing to me, I mean, it feels like he's going to go, but the timing, going into Barcelona without a manager or, with an interim manager, doesn't fill me with confidence either. So I really don't know what the correct decision will be. That's fun anyway. Nice one. Got any Blues.